welcome back. How are you? I'm Laren Haddock with the free game Retrospective. Yes, got a new mic, so improved sound moving forward. Well, here we are, a few episodes in, and it's time to hit a game that was paid, then went free to play a couple of years ago. Now it's time to enter the feudal times of Crusader Kings 2, a game series I'd never really looked into or paid any notice to, really. I mean, that may come as a shock, because, well, grand strategy and history are two of my favourite topics. Originally released in 2012, weirdly on Valentine's Day. Now, I can't tell whether they expected their fanbase to be free that day, or they're actively trying to ruin relationships. I mean, then on my wife's birthday in 2019, Paradox Games made it free to play and saw it on Steam and thought, why not? Set in the medieval era, from approximately 769 AD to 1463 AD, Crusader Kings 2 is a dynasty simulator. Your game will span years, decades, even centuries. In that time, you'll be vying to keep the control that you have and to further yourself and your dynasty. Now, this is done in a variety of ways, and it will have you making liberal use of the pause button to help yourself. When I said that you've got a variety of options at your disposal, it wasn't a lie. Whether it's marriage to strengthen relationships with another ruler, assassinations, plotting, and a good old-fashioned way of taking something that's not yours.
Tomorrow will be more!
This is where I will admit, even with the tutorial, it can be very, very overwhelming. There's a lot of data to take in, and in all seriousness, don't be put off by the steep learning curve, because you will get it, and when you do, it's so rewarding. In an unusual option for a game, success is defined by you. I mean, don't get me wrong, you are scored on, different options, and that score will be compared to real-life dynasties. I'm looking at you, Habsburg's jaw. Other than a score against historical dynasties, it's up to you. How do you want your dynasty to be remembered? Conquerors? Peace-loving rulers? Kings of the people? How you play will change the game each time. Arrested someone for a plot on a playthrough, all is good. Play the same character or even load the same game, and the arrest may not go as planned. With the arrest not succeeding, you could be lucky. They could flee elsewhere, go into hiding, or they could raise their banners in rebellion, and this can be from their single county to half of your country raising their flags in rebellion. Don't get me wrong, it is a lot to take in, but it is so good when it clicks with you. Whether you want to try your luck against historical events, or whether you download one of the many, many mods available, you'll find something for yourself. Personally, I downloaded the A Game of Thrones mod. My god, I know I've got a love for mods, and you'll hear more about that in an upcoming Tangent Tank, but again, this mod is insanely good. I've played the mod more than the standard game. The fact that you have 5 eras of Game of Thrones to choose from, including all the notable people of the times, from Aegon's Conquest, Dance of the Dragons, Hot D, the Blackfire Rebellions, Robert's Rebellion, and the War of the Five Kings. Seriously, the modders have covered 300 plus years of George R.R. Martin's epic world. In doing so, it gives fans the absolute freedom to take part in the game where you win or die. Between the mod for this and the mod for Mount & Blade 2, I believe that these are the Game of Thrones games that fans have been missing out on. Mount & Blade 2 for the combat and the sieges, and to a degree, diplomacy and trade. Crusader Kings 2 for absolute intrigue, diplomacy, marriage alliances, that made the show great in its early seasons. Become Heiress Samad, and try and avoid, your in-book stroke show ending. Take over as the King in the North, Robb Stark, or while away the hours as Rhaenyra Targaryen in the Dance of Dragons. Either way, each time you play will be different, even with the same characters. Heading away from my excitement of the modding community of this game, there are some fantastic mechanics that you wouldn't see in other games. With the use of a genetic system where the children will inherit certain traits genetically, which will lead to you sometimes making marriage pacts that are more genetically beneficial and not necessarily for the benefit of your realm at the time of the marriage. The education system comes along in more than one way. You can choose how your child is raised, in court, good with numbers, groomed for leadership, etc. But also by appointing them a guardian, whether that's someone within your court or someone on the other side of the country. Your choice of guardian can have a great or terrible result on your child. Pick the right one, and when your child comes of age, they'll be commanding your army as well, or they'll be brought into your council as a treasurer or similar. And once your main character passes, then you'll be in control of that person. I will admit to losing myself within this game. There's so much to do and take in, and as mentioned multiple times already, no playthrough will be the same. If you need to be somewhere or to do something, set an alarm. Seriously, I've sat down to this game for a quick continue where I left off. Only 5 minutes, you know the score. 2 hours later. Now, with the game being 11 years old, there have been a multitude of DLCs for it released. Now, me being me, I only just got into the game and I've had enough fun with the base game and a mod. But if you want to add more for yourself, there are, according to Wiki, 15... Wait, did I read that right? 15 DLCs for this game. Whether it's the music for 99 pence, all the way through the price range to just under £16, or the entire collection for £177.99 on Steam. Now this is what throws me, as it shows they've got 66 items on Steam and not all of them can be music. I mean, these DLCs add a plethora of new features and mechanics, or whether it's adding new playable dynasties or others that you can interact with. Personally, I don't see the need in getting some of these DLCs when the modding community has had such a head start prior to the game being released as free to play. DLCs, DLCs, DLCs. Now, with CK2, I don't mind the liberal use of DLCs by Paradox. Like with games like Age of Empires, Flight Sim 98 or Civilization, the DLCs are literally add-ons. You don't need them to get to the ending of a story. They're there to give you something you didn't have with the base game. Whether it's Air Force One on Flight Sim 98, including additional textures for Washington DC and multiple aircraft linked to ferrying the President of the United States around. Civilization and Age of Empires, adding new states to play, government systems and more. They enhance what you already have. Sometimes they'll continue the story, sometimes they won't. I miss a time when an expansion pack as opposed to DLC. DLC feels money grubbing and dirty. Look at season passes for FPS games. They know they've given you a non-complete game, but by buying them, for an extra fee for the year, you'll be able to have the stuff they probably could have released on day one. But why do that when, you can be charged for it? Sorry about that. Now, where was I? Yeah, so the game as a whole is thoroughly enjoyable. Tough and super replayable. Finding it too tough? Have a look online for some console commands. Not your typical God mode or anything. It's more that it'll make things a little easier for you. Don't get me wrong, single player cheating is fine in my eyes. The second you take it into multiplayer though, you should walk the plankton. I've had enough with your shenanigans, you're not fantastic, and Salmon had to say it. Good God, I'm sorry, I couldn't stop myself there. In all seriousness, though, I will bring in the fact that you will likely run multiple saves at the same time. I mean, I've got vanilla saves, I've got Game of Thrones mod saves, I've got Game of Thrones mod saves with cheats enabled. It depends what mood you're in when you boot up the game. Do you want to play it as is and work hard to scheme and plot your way to the top? Or maybe you're just happy keeping your borders and protecting them for generations. Either way, there's a save for that. It's what I mean about its replayability. Between the changes between playthroughs and the variety of starting points and mods that you can have, multiple saves and dynasties on the go. It seems strange to bring up mods, but the splash screen to load CK2 literally makes having a mod or not just the click of a button. If I can be frank for a moment, you can still be you, don't worry, but the fact that Paradox have made the use of mods so simple is a breath of fresh air. Having not played CK3 yet, I hope that they have kept that community-led synergy into that and other games that they create. So yeah, if you have some hours to fill, download it. Enjoy the mods, download it. It's a great game that hasn't got a time-limited free release, and I would highly recommend you try. And one last thing before you go. Mods have been a big mention in this episode. To me, they're a critical part of the gaming ecosphere. Yes, some of my praise, a lot of my praise, comes from an envious position of not having the knowledge, drive, time, absolute effort to create something like some of the fantastic mods out there. Whether it's one person in a bedroom or a small team of people dedicated to a goal, the modding community is pivotal in the evolution of games. It's not hyperbole to say it, but modders are the backbone of the gaming industry. If it wasn't for modders being integrated into studios, having performed other wizardry independently, we wouldn't have Counter-Strike Source, CSGO, and now CS2. Or modders taken in by Bethesda to work on Fallout 76 or Starfield. Modders' additions to games can be immense, whether it's simply making an old game playable on a new system, giving it a new coat of paint to making an entirely new beast out of the game or engine. So to modders out there, I salute you.